Heaven knows where this went wrong, telling me to just move on, holding on to regrets we made. Now it's time to walk away.
Oh, you don't know my scars, but ooh, it's not who we are. Oh, you don't know my scars, but ooh, it's not who we are, who we are. It's not who we are, who we are, who we are, who we are. It's not who we are.
Why don't we start again? Take this back to times we went far away from everything. It's all I need, yeah. Tell me lies, fantasize. We don't need to justify. What you need ain't hard to find, but you won't find it here. Oh, you don't know my scars, but ooh, it's not who we are.
Oh, you don't know my scars, but ooh, it's not who we are, who we are. Who we are. It's not who we are, who we are, who we are, who we are. It's not who we are, who we are, who we are, who we are. It's not who we are, who we are.
wretched state till the right time come along. It come along, and you'll be singing Child love song, stay in your wretched state till the right time come along. It won't belong. You'll be singing child love song. Never forget this point of view. Many your calls, the chosen few. Even children don't go astray. By watching television, doing what the heathen say. Trials and tribulations we must fear. Show them all, die through with fear. Stay in your wretched state till the right time come along. It won't belong. You'll be singing child love songs. Stay in your wretched state till the right time come along. It won't belong. You'll be singing child love songs. I know you know, wanna want me too. Burning hands in the bushes means school. Don't put your basket where you can't reach it. Evil eyes are watching and wanting to steal it. Not remembering that it's Jah who gave life to live. Job wife told him to curse Jah and live. Keep on singing, oh yeah. Keep on dancing, yeah. Never forget this point of view. Many are called children few. Even children don't go astray. By watching television and doing what the heathen say. Keep on singing, yeah. I won't be asking why. I won't be asking why. I know. Sing your love song. Sing your love song. Sing your love song.
Hey, everybody, how's it going? With me tonight, I have my co-host, Mina.
Hi, everybody. How are my beautiful hauntlings?
And our guest today is TheHappyJammer. How you doing, man?
Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here at the Traveler's Tavern, doing well.
And let's see, we've got. I'm guessing that is the amazing what the fuck under Zeus says, and he did misspell Zeus. It's more like Zeusy says.
Oh my God, you
release.
said you said WTF in the first 10 seconds. That's it. The video's over.
Well, actually, it's 16,
Shadow ban.
16 minutes into the stream.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you had the first 6. Okay, never mind. Okay, we're clear.
We're clear. We've got Miss
By the way,
Creepus. Miss Creepus.
Hey.
Hi.
By the way, I'm gonna be mean to someone in the chat. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Okay.
No one Wow. All right. Is that TOS? Like, is that wow?
No,
Holy.
no. That's
The News Titans. The News Titans is one of my really close friends. So
that's Seder.
he comes in and I just give him crap. If I don't give him crap, he starts to worry that I don't like him anymore.
Aw, that's sweet, quote unquote sweet.
We're happy to see
He likes
you
the
too,
abuse.
Mr. Creepus.
It's fine.
Let's see. I think that's everybody. Well, Pimp Demon's meowing. Who
What
else?
up, pimp?
So, we have We're running a little bit late, not like last week. Thank goodness.
Yeah, last week was a nightmare.
And no major technical difficulties at this point, except my brain. Um, uh, so we're gonna start out with the easy questions. Uh,
Of course, of course.
you want to give everybody an idea about? You said you do mostly Twitch now, but can you give
Yes.
everybody a little bit of an idea about your what you do on your channel on Twitch and where you fall into the viewerships?
Yes, of course. My online presence has the past decade has sort of been on and off and on various different like fandoms and interests. And so, but what I do now mainly is that I'm a horror Twitch streamer, specializing in SCP themed horror games, mainly SCP Containment Breach and SCP Secret Files, like and a lot of new SCP titles that have been released the past year, and more coming soon. Um, and I'm also a VTuber, because that is the new trend now, and where instead of actually showing your face, you have an animatronic of thing on your screen do it for you, which is nice. I actually like that aesthetic a lot, um, and so that's what I do now. But before then, I was an SCP. If you guys know the horror game SCP Containment Breach,
Yes.
there's probably some of you have heard of that. I was a mod developer and a part of that community for many years. I knew personally some of the devs in that game, and I was a tester for you know what tester, right? Like someone who tests things before new updates and releases. I was a tester for Containment Breach for a little while, and also made a few mods. And so that is my background in terms of like horror, because
Awesome.
because I grew up like playing. I mean, not necessarily playing. I grew up watching other people play horror games. It started with PewDiePie and Markiplier, and then eventually I got in the niche of SCP by specifically Markiplier because he had this whole series of SCP Containment Breach playthroughs, and I was like, this looks pretty fun, and it looks like they make mods for the game too, and it seems pretty easy. So I decided to do it myself. I released my first mod back in like 2013. It's now 10 years. like
10 years
it's
later.
like wow, 10 years later of SCP Containment Breach modding and being part of that community. But it was sort of like an on and off thing, like because I am autistic, and some of the interesting quirks about being autistic, at least based on my personal experience, is that you have intense bouts of interest in certain things, and then it fades off really fast. And then once it hits you that you're interested in it again, it just hits you like a truck, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm not going to rabbit hole, like doing this, spending hours of my time doing this until I get exhausted, and then I fall off of it, right? And that has been essentially my relationship with SCP for a long time. And also the reason why the Reddit is up there, that is interesting. I made my career in Reddit, although I am still somewhat involved in the community, but not as much anymore, and honestly, not as much as I would want to. Honestly, I was a big member of the Frozen fandom. So if you know the movie Frozen,
Yes.
uh,
I saw that on
there's
your
like
on your report. I looked at it. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm interested in how this works out.
yeah. So that's the funny thing, because that was another thing that I got jumped into because of modding. So in that case, I was modding a strategy game. Some of you guys may have heard of it. It's called Civilization 5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I looked up like, oh, these are cool mods that people make for Civilization 5, and it turns out it's pretty easy to make a mod in Civilization 5, and that's what I did. And that talent was noticed by one of the subreddit mods in R Frozen,
Oh,
and they had their own mod, which is essentially um, a mod that adds like the Frozen Kingdom,
yeah.
where Arendelle is, right, as like a civilization. And I basically asked, like, I volunteered myself, hey, I know how to mod a little bit. I can help you with your mods. Like, sure. And I did all that, and he eventually introduced me to the subreddit, and basically the rest is history. I became a big member of the community, doing all sorts of posts and stuff. Um, and I've been a member of the Discord groups for a long time. And I've briefly, in 2019, I was a host of a podcast called the Frozen Podcast,
Oh,
where
cool.
I had members of the Frozen community come on, host on my show, and basically hype up the upcoming Frozen 2 movie that was coming out at the time, the sequel to Frozen.
It didn't
And that
have
was a
to
lot of
hype.
fun.
It was my granddaughter.
That's
Oh
really
wait,
cool.
your granddaughter was like hyped about that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I would imagine so. And so that has been a really awesome experience. And after those days, after Frozen, especially after the hype has went down, I've sort of tried to like find what I wanted to do and what I wanted to do online in my presence. And then I saw VTubers became like a big trend, like around like 2020 during post-COVID, where people are like falling down a rabbit hole, like being obsessed with VTubers and so on. It's like this could actually work.
It's getting
I
into
kind of want to do
everything.
this.
It's getting
Wait, I'm
into,
sorry.
it's getting into every community now.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
no, I'm in several different. I'm weird.
Yes.
so I was gonna say, Jammer, you were saying how
Yes.
you're autistic, and how you can hyperfixate on stuff and you lose interest, bro.
Yeah.
I have ADHD. I know how that
Mhm.
feels. Straight up, I can hyperfixate on something for like hours and hours and hours for months and months and months, and then I'll lose interest and I won't even I'll not touch it for like years, and I'll come back to it like I like and just regain my entire interest in it, and it'll be like I never left. I'm like, yeah, I love this.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. It's like the nostalgia hits you like a truck, and then you're fully into the truck. Next thing you're in
That
the
with
truck that just hit
writing.
you.
I'm like that
Okay.
Oh
with
my.
writing. I love writing horror stories, but I can only write when my ADHD says I can write. Otherwise, it's just like I'll type like 5 words, like yeah, I'm bored already.
Well, then that's not going to be a good story at that point, right? Uh,
No. Even if it's gonna be a good story, because I can always tell when it's gonna be a good story, because I'll write like a paragraph, I won't really like it, and I'm like, but I'm bored. Because my brain wants to do because my brain goes, I want to play video games, I want to watch YouTube, I want to watch Netflix, I want to watch HBO. I'm like, we can do all that, but we can't do all of it at the same time. And then I'll just sit there and like stare at my computer and not do anything because my brain just goes, well then, no.
That's literally
Oh
me.
my
It's like instead of actually like playing video games or watching Netflix on my computer, it's like I'm just going to Wikipedia and like scrolling and clicking links and like doing like, oh, I didn't know this happened in this part of China. Wow, I want to look at the history. Click on the other link. Oh, this is interesting. And then 4 hours later, I'm like, oh my god, I've been reading Wikipedia for 4 hours. Oh my god, I need to stop.
What rabbit hole
It's
did
like
I fall down?
it's like oh god. It's like
Yeah,
oh
the
man.
and then see, I saw the VTubers starting out in mainly gaming streams and such, and then
Yes.
I saw them starting to slip into the horror community, which and the narration community, which makes sense, honestly. Um, Now I'm seeing VTubers even in like the debunking community, um,
Debunking community.
where they I say debunking. That's what I call it. Um, I don't know if you know what a sovereign citizen is or a First Amendment auditor. Um, they're like special Karens.
Oh, okay.
And
I think I heard of who Sovereign Citizens are, but I don't know about the other one.
there's
But
also a
yeah.
community that's on the other side, well, if you can call it a side, that takes their videos and looks at it and says, "No, you're wrong. That's not how that works. This is how it works." And yeah,
So like fact checker or something like that,
yeah,
or myth busting. Well,
right.
okay, I got
And
you.
some of
Yeah.
these people are actually lawyers. Some of them are cops. Some of them are just like me, really interested in how things work in that type of arena.
Mm.
And
A lawyer or cop VTuber. It's interesting.
well,
Aesthetic. Yeah.
Dog Detective is one of is she is a VTuber, and
Mhm.
she just changed her VTube avatar. It used to have horns, now it's got puppy ears. She says I can't have both. Which I thought
Yeah.
was really cute when she said that because I was like, okay. But she she also used to train dogs for people who need service dogs, and so I mean it crosses a broad range of people, and I'm just interested in how VTubing is actually spreading through all of these different groups and genres of being online. And there goes my alarm. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! So yeah, it's no amazing what the fuck. Well, actually, no.
I'm making you're feeling VTuber avatars.
Celia actually has a VTube avatar. She
Yeah,
used it at HorrorCon when we
that's
were
right.
running around HorrorCon. So
Oh
I
yeah, I was at HorrorCon this year with my VTuber model,
oh
and
cool.
Self helped me turn my VTuber model into a workable VR chat avatar. So that
Oh
was cool.
cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to read these because these are so hilarious. What the fuck says SCP does not stand for Scary Clown Prawn or Spooky Crap Payment. Possibly sock containment procedure. Does not
Sovereignty.
does not stand for Sort Cop Parade. Or
Did you just go to an AI website and like
I don't know
put
what he did.
SCP and then like what the?
That's
Or
fuck. That's
Super
funny.
Civilization Party. Most of the SCP does not stand for the ones I know are not TOS friendly. I know what AD is, but the doctor says I have 80 of them.
What?
ADHD.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
ADHD stands for attention deficit. Hey, donuts.
True. True. No.
Instead of squirrel, donuts.
Don't.
Woo! Yeah, that's nice
That's it.
job. Amazing. What the fuck? That's why he's amazing. Bum bum.
Great. Bringing the comedy to our broadcast here. Absolutely.
The
Keep it
secret
going.
clown parade. So
Yep.
you're used to dealing with the actually already written SCPs.
Yeah, of course. Mainly, I'm most familiar with ones that I have played in the games. So, Continuing Breach, Secret Files, what have you.
Okay.
Honestly, I should be much. I should work on being better in terms of familiar myself with more SCPs in general, like reading the actual pages and stuff. I just haven't gotten around to it. My main thing with SCP is is playing the game,
Okay.
and from there and then from there like learning a lot about like and watching videos of the SCPs that are featured in that game. So, 173, 049,
Yeah.
096, 106. The usual suspects. Very good stories, by the way. Is
I'm
the music
sorry.
level okay?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think
He
so.
deals with written SCPs. Wait until I get my SCP number.
I mean, you're acting like an SCP right now in chat, so
Isn't
it's probably warranted.
he?
You're probably gonna get written up by O5 Council and be put as an article there
Yeah, I'm
by
hoping
next
to.
year.
I thought of an
That is,
SCP 2 years ago, and I went to write it, and I got sidetracked by health issues and things. So I'm hoping this year I get it written. Just saying.
you're very nice.
And I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Damn. All right.
Has to do with holidays. That's all I'm going to say. In a weird way. Holidays in a weird
All right.
way. So okay, so I haven't seen your avatar. So what is your VTube avatar? Secure cuddle party.
Oh, my VTuber avatar is very simple. It's me. It's like sort of anime looking dude with a bowl cut protagonist hair and in a beige suit with a green tie. The green tie is like my main thing, and I wear glasses. And I'm fairly short. So that is a basic description. Let me see if I have an actual photo.
What do you describe as short?
I mean,
I mean, people have different descriptions for short. Some people say short is anything that is below 4.5 feet. Some people
okay,
say
yeah.
that short is below 6 foot. You know.
Uh, I mean, it kind of corresponds with my in real life height, quote unquote in real life height, but it's essentially, yeah, I'm 5'4", and so like anything that's, um, and considering that I grew up with a lot of people and family members that are taller than me, it's like I consider myself short. But obviously, the 5'4" for some people is tall. So
My mother
I
was
guess that
5'5", and my daughter and my sister are 5'4". So, yeah.
all right. At least it's like fairly consistent. My family's kind of wacky in terms of the heights. Like my mother is 4'10", and my dad is 5'10".
Wow. Other
That's a
than,
Only
big.
I'm
Yeah, that
only
is a.
5'6", so I'm not much taller.
I'm thinking Mutt and Jeff. Do you remember that comic? No, I'm the old one in the house right now. Um, my parents, like I said, my mom was 5'4", my dad is 5'8". Other than my great grandmother on my mother's side, who was 4.0, we call her Little Mama. She's great. I love her. um, but other than her, my parents were the shortest people at their wedding. So,
Oh wow.
I was like, I hope I'm tall. I've got a cousin who actually, she was telling people that she was 5'12" or 5'13", when we were in our teenage years, because she said, I just don't want to date you if you're 6 foot.
Oh, is it because he said 5'13", and that's why it's technically not 6 foot because it's still 5?
Yeah.
Very clever.
Yeah. She got pregnant with twins,
Oh
and
wow.
her spine compressed because she was staying on her feet too much. So now I used to have to look up to her. Now I'm almost on the same eye level with her.
Oh wow.
But yeah, that's why I asked about the height thing, because everybody's got a different definition of what is tall and what is short. You are
Yeah, of
not
course.
7 foot tall.
Wow, you really are an SCP. You guys need to contain him.
Uh,
Yeah,
he-
7 foot tall. That's not normal.
yeah,
Like
he,
that's
he
you gotta
There's no containing him.
he's one of ours that we have to. He used to try to release the squirrels onto Canada.
Oh no, yeah.
Miss
Isn't that an
Griffith
invasive
said,
species?
Apparently,
Miss Griffith said Jammer is anime pro tag confirmed.
Is an anime I mean, I kind of look like one. If you look at my avatar, it kind of does. It's probably the hair. But I gotta say right now, like I'd be the worst anime protag in history. Like I would not, I would not fare well in an isekai environment or some sort of alternate universe uh like anime I probably would die of whatever messed up physics that world brings. So that's I'm the worst example of an anime protag.
well, I mean, there's F in lawyer, and yes, it's F dot in dot LWYR. F in lawyer.
Oh yeah, here's a snippet of my
Oh.
model.
Oh, he's cute.
Oh, thank you.
No,
Appreciate it.
yeah, he is. But F in lawyer is totally VTubed. He's changed the model a couple times since he started, but he's a lawyer, retired lawyer that he actually taught law as well, and now he does YouTube.
You want to contain me?
That's great.
Pocket squirrel.
It's like no. Pocket
So-
is that basically Pokemon? That's basically Pokemon,
Yes.
right? That's
So-
basically
Yeah.
So for amazing what the fuck, instead of release the Kraken, it's release the squirrels.
yeah, squirrels. You're gonna get squirrels in your pants and squirrels in your attic. It's gonna be everywhere in Canada.
Like,
Get ready.
And I'll just have this imagery of someone having a squirrel in their pocket, and like whenever someone gets too close, he's like, "Hey, squirrel," and he like throws a squirrel at their face and runs away.
Oh my god.
I gotta be
Oh,
careful
God,
on the releasing the squirrely wrath because that's a Foamy the squirrel thing, and I don't want us to get hit by copyright.
God, my what do you call this? I had once like it was like a nightmare or something. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was a nightmare where I'm walking around in the forest, right? It's just a calm forest, and as I continue walking down the path, you have all these squirrels in the trees start appearing, and they're just doing squirrel things, and eventually more of them appear very slowly, and then after that, all of a sudden they stop their movement, and they all look at me. They all stare at me and move their heads, follow me from the trees, and they're just staring, and they're not blinking. You're looking at them with their beady black eyes, right?
Black eyes are coming to get you.
Yeah, yeah, and then next thing you know, they swarm, and then and then I wake up.
Oh,
Wow.
so
That is, I don't know, I don't know what circumstances. I don't know. I don't know if it was like high stress during like high school or something. I don't know what circumstances led me to that specific scenario where that was my nightmare.
Jammer,
Yes.
one of my since we're not saying IRL, one of my close friends in person, like one of the friends that I could hang out with in person, he had this nightmare where, like, every time he turned his back on these rubber snakes, they would come to life and they would get closer, and he would turn around, they would stop, and they would just be rubber again. But he'd turn around, and they'd become real and get closer to him. And because of that, he has a phobia of rubber snakes. And at one point, he came over to my house. It was him and a bunch of my friends from church, and one of our friends brought their kids, and the kids were torturing him with a rubber snake, and it took everything in me to like tell the kids to stop and not join in on the torture.
That, yeah, you're mean. Did you know that?
I'm like,
Oh God.
must be the adult in this situation. Must be the adult in this situation. But then I was in, but then I went out to his car and put the rubber snake in his seat.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God.
So he had one last scream, and he's like, "Who did that?" And I just raised my hand, like, "Me." He's like, "You're such an asshole," and I'm like, I heard that one.
It's kind of funny though. It's kind.
It is. And
It's literally a prank.
Amazing What the Fuck says, yes, Jammer, that's Squirrel Army propaganda that General Nibbles beams to the Canadians.
Really? Wow.
And PA, put the rubber snake down. It's adulting time.
Jesus.
I will beat you with my rubber snake, and I will beat you. Beatings with my rubber snake will continue until morale improves.
Ooh, beatings! Sorry, I had to do that.
Are you saying release the amazing what the fuck needs morale?
So
I mean he clearly.
So my dad was in the Marine Corps, right? And my mom bought him this shirt of like a Marine. It was a skeleton, and it was still in the Marine dress, and it says beatings will continue until morale improves.
That was something that I heard my whole youth. What's your problem? You say that's not normal?
Gee, like I'm curious, is that even a thing that is actually taught in the military, in the U.S. military? I feel like I feel like is I'm not sure. I'm not a military expert, but
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure it is something where they like morale is important. So if you're caught bringing down the group morale, you probably get punished for it.
Yeah, somewhere, somehow.
Oh yeah, it probably depends on the scenario. Yeah, I know how to improve the morale of the Marines, and it involves Creole. What?
I know how to improve the morale of every military branch. Just give them halfway decent food.
Actually, some branches don't have bad
Ooh.
food. My not blood, but in heart sister, her brother, her younger brother, is a army chef, and he was stationed in Italy. So he got to specialize in some of the Italy cuisine, or Italian cuisine, I guess I should say. And yeah, he's really good at it too. Hmm.
Nice. No, I'm talking about like the military whenever they like the mess hall and crap.
Yeah.
Like give those people halfway decent food, and I'm quite certain morale would skyrocket. Like, holy shit, we're getting food that doesn't taste like ass.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Just
I don't know what vendors the army does it. I heard, does it depend on the branch of the military, the quality of the
Yes.
food, or is it all the same? Oh, okay.
Yes. I've got enough military people around me. Yes.
All right. Like, do you know what branches have better food and which ones don't?
Um, Generally, the Air Force, from what I've heard, is the best.
Of course, of course.
Well, some people say they're not called the Chair Force for nothing. um, but yeah, Air Force, I think they said Air Force, Army, Navy, and then Marine in that
Wow,
order.
Marie's the worst. Wow. Okay.
Well, Marines in a lot of cases are eating either Navy food or Army food. So when they're actually eating their own food, it's kind of weird. Um,
Jeez.
I don't even
I
want
mean,
to touch that. What the fuck?
of course, Marines' food is the worst. I mean, crowns don't have very good taste.
Oh golly.
Jesus.
Whoa.
Well,
Okay.
wow,
So
we're just
what got you
Jesus.
what got you into horror genre SCPs? What sparked your interest in them?
Um yeah, so as I mentioned, uh it started with like Markiplier playthroughs. That's basically it.
Hmm.
Because I remember watching his first Amnesia playthroughs, his old Amnesia playthroughs, and then after that his old SCP playthroughs, and his SCP series, playing SCP Containment Breach, it was like my favorite like series. I binge watched that back in the day, and that's what got me into the game because Markiplier also ended up playing not just SCP but also mods for SCP. So he played
Ah.
like SCP Slender mod. Um, someone even made an SCP Markiplier mod. And someone also made like an SCP My Little Pony mod.
Oh no.
That's yeah, that's a thing. So they
I didn't
replaced
need to know
173
that
with
one.
Pinkie. So they replaced 173 with Pinkie Pie, and
I didn't need
and
to know that.
106 is Rainbow Dash.
Oh.
The three people that are watching, they all need to know this. This is very important information.
Okay.
Uh, so so but I mean, the downside is that that mod is no longer being updated,
Oh.
uh, but essentially, that's what got me into the SCP community, and specifically the SCP modding community, and I started making my own mods. I released my first mod back in like 2013, and I was a small like channel like making stuff, and I was like I was basically like because I was I believe freshman year at the time. I was trying to like see like I see other people made mods and YouTubers played them. So why don't I like get people to play my mod? So I like if you remember back in the old days of YouTube, they used to have YouTube messaging,
Yes.
like direct messaging via YouTube.
Yes.
Um, before they fucked it up with Google Plus, and then before they removed it entirely. Um, and so I would just like do that to like all like the small SCP focus like SCP containment breach focused YouTubers, and it's like, hey, can you play my mod? Here's the link to my mod, and they played my mod, and it turns out, uh, uh, they get lots of views playing my mod, and I'm like, what? I mean, I mean, and that's what got me started getting exposure. Other mod developers eventually like noticed um, my work, and I started like learning, getting into modding in general, specifically with SCP, learning about the Blitz 3D engine, which is what SCP Containment Breach runs on. Um, Figuring out what's best to implement, and of course, making a lot of new friends along the way. A lot of people in the SCP modding community are great people, very nice, very talented. A lot of them are modelers, and a lot of them are coders that change sort of game mechanics of the game, and so it's very much one of those things that I felt like I was actively contributing to like a worthwhile community cause. That is the SCP Containment Breach game, because the SCP Containment Breach was developed by one. First, it was one guy. It was a Finnish developer named Regalis. That was his moniker online. But eventually, it turned to this multi-person project where it was contributed to many other indie developers. Like at its heart, SCP Containment Breach is an indie horror game, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was never it was never picked up by like some large AAA company conglomerate. It was run by uh, people who just had a hobby in modding and SCP, and so I very much valued that a lot, and so that's what got me into the larger horror community, specifically indie horror games. Because I mean, of course, there are a lot of very good like not AAA horror titles out there. Resident Evil comes to mind, and that sort of thing. But I very much like the indie titles because that's what I grew up watching. PewDiePie, Markiplier, then known as Harshly Critical, now known as John Wolf. Right? These are like people I grew up watching, playing let's plays of indie horror games, and giving them exposure to very very creative works that a lot of times are very good games, right? And so I thought that was a great value. That was a great thing to be contributing to as in my involvement in the SCP modding community.
That's cool. Actually, I kind of like that it has stayed. I don't want to say low budget, but indie. Instead
It
of
has,
being
yeah,
picked
yeah.
up by one of the large companies, because there's a advantage to the large company as you got more money to spend on doing things and making things and so forth. But I think at that point there's a loss of soul in the game, and it doesn't feel as comfortable, I guess is the word I'm trying to use.
No, I understood. Yeah, like it doesn't seem like as responsive to like the community once it's like bought off by some larger entity. That's right. I would say that's not a universal thing. Obviously, there can be AAA titles that can turn out really good, right?
Right.
But there's something about an indie game that makes it feel like it's it's like the digital equivalent of like calloused hands. Like you worked.
Yes.
There's like there's like this hard-earned labor that is taken in creating this work, and especially if the work is very good, there's a lot of pride in that for a lot of indie developers, which often is one person. Like a lot of these indie game titles are made by one guy, and they make these fabulous works that they upload on ModDB or IndieDB or itch.io, right? These other gaming sites, and a lot of them do get exposure, of course. You have big people like Markiplier play it, Twitch streamers play it, etc. But others don't get the exposure that they deserve, and I think that's unfortunate. And I've been grateful that like SCP Contain Breach has basically stood the test of time in terms of like one of the most recognizable indie horror titles out there. Despite it like yes, I understand like there are other indie horror titles like Amnesia, for example, obviously a big indie horror title. But I would imagine, I noticed from experience, I'm pretty sure Amnesia: The Dark Descent is created by Frictional Games, and Frictional Games is an indie horror studio, and they have very talented people over there. But SCP Contain Breach is literally just an autonomous group of like amateur indie coders and modelers from around the world that just contribute to the project. Like it's like the equivalent of like a GitHub kind of contribution. Like it's not like Frictional Games where it is a small indie developer studio, but it's still a studio, right?
Right.
Most of its history, Containment Breach has been this decentralized kind of form where there are certain guidelines, of course, with how you want updates to be pushed out and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's always been like via contribution, like you're contributing to the project rather than necessarily like any fixed deadlines. And so that has been the culture for like the longest time. And even though a lot of the people who have worked on the game has changed over the past 10 years, it's still essentially just people who are either self-taught of modeling or of modeling or coding or are passionate of that stuff that just want to contribute to something.
Yeah.
And SCP Containment Breach is a valuable entry into learning those things.
I feel like that's the same for a lot of like like there's like underground artists that do like they're indie because they're not signed by major labels, and they do all their editing and all that stuff by by themselves, or they have like a very small intimate circle that helps them produce stuff. So I feel like anytime something's run by like a few people, it becomes more of a project, like a labor of love. So you can always tell, like, that'd be it's a labor of love compared to if say Square Enix developed an RPG as opposed to an indie person. Like the Square Enix has a bigger budget, but if you play the indie project, you can definitely tell that like the artist put a lot more love into that project than say Square Enix would have.
Well, that depends on which Square Enix title you're talking about.
Yeah.
Personally, Final Fantasy 14, Yoshi puts, and the fact that I know his name right off the top of my head says a lot. But Yoshi actually, he does, he had, I guess it was 2 years ago, they did a live chat with him, and somebody was like, well, when are we going to go back and have like a base game like WoW did and have 1.0, and he said he laughed and he says never, nightmare. And he actually said it in English instead of in Japanese, and it's just everybody's like, yeah, he's not doing that ever. You weren't there for 1.0. You don't want to go back. Trust us on that.
Oh god.
But
But
it's
that's
like,
but
I think about the mods that we had, and I know Skyrim's got a billion, thousand, bajillion mods that you can use.
Yeah, Skyrim's like notorious for their mods.
But we had, and I'm going back further, we had mods in SWG for certain things that made it more of a Star Wars. Hand me something while I'm talking.
Another game developer that just you can just tell that they love what they're making is Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah.
That dude is a freaking. He's an artist, straight up. That man is just nuts with some of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from what I've seen, like that series is like packed with like artistic talent and a lot of heart and soul into it. Obviously, they're now owned by Atlas, which is like a subsidiary of Sega, right?
Yeah.
But there's still like a little bit of that separation where a lot of the talent sort of get to facilitate their own product, right? Without much interference.
Sega knew what they were best at. I mean, we had the Sega Genesis there for a little while, but they realized that they were smart enough to realize that they were good at doing the programming, making the games. They did that a lot better than the console, so they went and started doing the titles and the games and focusing on that instead of, we've got the Sega Genesis 5000.
Yeah, there's a reason why Sega like was really, and to this day still pioneers in terms of like game development compared to their hardware, which didn't go that well.
No, well, we played I played Sega Genesis, but it wasn't the console I wanted to play on all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, they figured out that they were better at doing the titles, doing the games, and they were doing the mechanical part of the system, which I think was smart for them. SWG, we had mods, and that's another question that everybody in the RP role playing community. It's kind of a undercurrent, you know. The minute mods start coming out for a game, it's like, is there a nude mod? Is there a nude mod?
Um.
And actually, the best nude mod I've ever seen was for Final Fantasy 14. Um,
Oh boy. Oh boy.
that's all I'm gonna say
Okay.
about that. But
Oh boy.
the first one I ever saw was for SWG, and it wasn't really that bad. It was really, really good. And you have to remember that this is like circa 1999, and yeah, you could. It was anatomically correct. But you know, they had mods to make you look pregnant. They had mods to make you look. And this is a game. I mean, SWG already had a facility that you could use to make yourself look pregnant. Entertainers could change your appearance at any time during the game. You just tell them what you want. They code it up. There was a way we could code it up, and you could change somebody in game real time. So if you didn't like something after you finished making your character and you were already in the game, and, 6 months down the road, and you're going, I'm really tired of this. I really messed it up, and wonder if there's any way you could change it. You could get rid of it and start over, basically. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of always been, what kind of mods can we get in this? Yeah.
I've honestly never used the mods because I've heard some of them will just break your game if you're not careful, and I'm always paranoid about that.
Well,
Rates and nude mod for Team Fortress 2.
oh
No.
no,
No.
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 But yeah, my brother had his Skyrim so bogged down with mods he couldn't even play it. And we're like, okay, so how many of you got in there? And he says,
200.
250, and I just tried to put another 50 in. And we're like, dude.
Yeah, that's gonna conflict with the government. That's a recipe for disaster. That is.
Well, the other problem is some mods also being mods and not being or going through the checks and balances that normal software production would go through. And I'm saying normal as in you're going to the store and buying it, or buying it online and downloading it. You also opened yourself up to possibly catching a virus or something, and it could take your whole system down just because this mod had something in it that was malicious. And
I've had that experience, plenty of experiences of going to either ModDB or even worse, if the mod is like linked via in some independent link entirely, like a Google Drive link or something like that. Like that could easily be prey to viruses.
It's very dangerous.
Or a mega.nz link.
Yeah, very dangerous depending on where you get the mod from, what it could do for you. Hey, Nathan! Nathaniel J. Nelson has joined us.
What's up, Nate? Bye, Egg Fondle.
Egg Fondle.
All right.
He has a book, and it's a meme he made because it's not actually called Egg Fondle. It's called Aragrindle or something like that. But for some reason he just calls it Egg Fondle. He's got a bunch of memes, so.
Buy Egg Fondle.
Buy Egg Fondle.
Exactly, it's a thing now.
Okay, so we haven't done any of these lately. We're getting really serious here, so I'm going to turn this car around. We're going to turn this table around.
All right.
I always tell everybody we're sitting in a tavern, and we're having some drinks and food and just chatting away with everybody.
Right, and it's all And it's all led by the Chaos King here, PA Nightmares, apparently.
It is.
It is.
The god of chaos.
If you if you could choose to be anything in the whole wide world, fact or fiction, horror or otherwise, what would it be and why?
Anything?
Anything.
It's probably I mean, probably a cop out, but as you said, fictional too, right? Ooh.
Yeah, I opened that up wide.
Yeah, that is very wide. I like the idea of like a shape shifting deity of sorts.
Oh, cool.
Shapeshifter. Yeah. I feel like that's a cop out because that means you can turn into anyone that you said in your scenario. but I mean I think that's a cool yeah, sure, shapeshifter, why not?
Behold, for I am the god of chaos.
um,
I
so do you have any phobias?
I I do have general fears. But I do have general fears, but I've never had I never had a scenario where it would be like a full on like phobia of mine. I guess I'm afraid of heights, but like I don't know if that's a phobia because like I could get on a roller coaster and be just fine, or be on top of a building, or be on top of a bridge, and I'll be fine.
If you're on
When
the
you look,
18th story of a building that each story is three normal building stories high, and you're looking down into a reservoir and see crocodiles down there, what are you going to do?
then in that scenario, I would be afraid of the crocodiles, not the height.
You're on an 18-story building being held by a rope while tied to a chair. How do you react?
Well,
I mean,
see,
I'd be afraid
take
of.
that kind of from personal experience. Um,
Oh my god.
Where I used to work, we had test stands, and each floor on the test stand was generally three normal building floors high. So, if you go from first floor to the second floor, you've actually gone up 6 floors of a normal building. And we went all the way up to the top, which is 18 stories. And I'm standing there and I'm looking over the edge, and the reason that there was water down there is a canal. We use the canal to move some larger things that can't actually go on roads because of restrictions for vehicles and such. We brought in through boats, and also needed the water to cool down the exhaust from the engines that we were testing. And so yeah, you got a rocket engine behind you, and you're in the 18th story. You look down, and there's alligators around, and we actually had signs up saying, "Don't feed the alligators," because you're teaching them that they can come up here and get food, and then one day you might be food.
Hey, Josie.
So yeah, I kind of took that question from real life.
That's
Josie's in the
interesting.
chat.
Well, that was sort of like a subset of the original question, which is, are you afraid of heights? And then I said, I mean, I guess I am, but I don't know if that's like a phobia.
Yeah.
And then you guys started adding like, well, in this hypothetical scenario, if you're hung by a rope and there's a crocodile, are you actually scared of heights now? It's like, I mean, of course. That's scary as hell.
You'd rather be up in the air than be down there where they're gonna get you.
I would rather be hanging up there. Yeah. Because at least I'll live for like a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, it depends where I'm at down there. Because if I'm not in the water, then I stand a better chance of surviving on land near the crocodiles, as opposed to surviving that fall.
You know, you're not gonna survive that fall. There's no way. There's no way. Unless you have a parachute,
But
which you don't.
right. We'll give you a parachute, maybe. No.
Wow. All right.
Maybe not. I don't know.
We'll give you a parachute, but it's gonna have a bunch of holes in it.
True.
Snowbrawler, hello. We've had
Snowballer. Oh, hi. He's a regular in my channel,
Oh, cool.
so he's here. It's pretty cool. Hi. How you doing?
I'm gonna turn it over to PA to ask his adopted question.
Oh boy.
I'm trying to remember which one that is. Oh, is it the yeah. So you wake up one day and you find yourself in a brand new hellscape where alligators and crocodiles can now fly. How do you think humanity fares?
Well, first of all, you guys are really obsessed with alligators and crocodiles. Holy shit! But second, um, okay, so they're flying. Okay, so you have alligators and crocodiles. Okay, it's a double whammy of two similar animals that. I'm sorry, they look the same to me. Like I'm sorry, like don't kill me,
There's a little bit of a difference,
scientists.
but they do look very much the same.
Yeah. Like as far as I'm concerned, if I see like a reptile-looking thing with wings flying around, or if they don't have wings and they still fly around regardless, that's even more jarring, actually. I'll have several questions. I think there is probably if the only change between our world and that alternate hellscape scenario is just alligators and crocodiles fly.
Yeah, that's
I think yeah, I think humanity can survive that.
okay.
Imagine the
we got in there.
bloodbath that would be day one, though, because everybody would be walking out of their house not expecting this, and then next thing you know, you're descended upon by angry crocodiles and alligators in the air. Day one would be a bloodbath.
It's literally what Australia experienced with the Emu War, except it's worldwide, and you replace it with flying alligators. Like that's
Would you rather deal with an army of angry flying alligators or a massive swarm of flying cockroaches?
Alligators.
oh yeah, alligators. Yeah, yep. Because at least with alligators, you can turn them into like meat, and apparently they taste like chicken. And
They do taste good.
yeah. Meanwhile, cockroaches. What the fuck are you gonna? What food are you gonna make with that? Like
Well,
mean,
I hate to say it, but I know some people that use cockroaches in some recipes. But
Wait.
I'm down in Cajun country, so
Wait, so you guys eat alligators?
I don't eat cockroaches. I don't do it.
Oh, okay.
I have had alligator. It is very good, very good.
Gator.
That
But-
that does sound good. May want to try it sometime.
When I first got down here, and I don't think the restaurant is there anymore. I think Katrina obliterated them. But there was a restaurant on the Gulf, and they had a spread that you could put, like, it wasn't butter, but it came, gave you honey butter, and I don't remember what the other one was, and then they had this alligator spread to put on the bread that they
course.
give you for, like, breadsticks type thing. And oh my gosh, it was so good. I mean, it was really, really good. Forget the honey butter, forget everything else. That's what I wanted.
That sounds very good, actually. Honey butter.
What?
Well, no, I don't eat roaches. There's a colic remedy that I was told about when I first moved down here. Thank God my children were not in colic stages. But when I first moved down here, I was told of a colic remedy that they actually use the insides of roaches. You know, they take the exoskeleton apart and ugh.
Ooh.
But
The
You know,
Oh, okay.
you
yeah,
know, if there's one place on Earth that I could imagine eating cockroaches, it'd be Florida.
Florida's got huge cockroaches.
Interesting. I don't know about that. I am Southeast Asian. I'm from the Southeast Asia. Uh, you got some competition there, but there are some places there where they're totally fine eating bugs. Like they're totally
Oh,
fine.
well,
Dude,
there's
I
a
was
difference
got some
between
competition.
bugs and roaches,
Dude, I was
in my
watching
Eat
this
opinion.
roaches
cooking
there
show
too.
contest. I was watching this cooking show. It was like a snack. It's like snack off. It's on Netflix. But they were making these like their own snacks, and some person made this like fucking protein snack that he cooked crickets into it. I'm just like, why would you make that? Why
Chocolate,
would you willingly make that?
chocolate
The
covered
cricket protein bar.
crickets.
That actually sounds good if you
They
ignore it. It's
are.
cricket.
I didn't know that they were crickets. I didn't know they were real crickets. I thought they were just shaped like crickets until after I
Oh
ate them.
god.
Ants,
Yeah,
ants, chocolate covered ants.
What's
oh,
WTF? There's no
ants.
PA in Florida. The roaches eat you.
Yes, they do. And believe it or not, roaches
Uh,
do bite humans. They will bite humans.
I presume that in some cases they spread diseases or something if left
Hey,
untreated.
I'm pretty sure they
I
do.
swear to God, if I
Yep.
walked into a building and there was just flying cockroaches in it, I just walk out, burn the building down, and walk away.
So one of these days I'm going to burn
Yeah,
this
oh
place
god.
down.
God,
Okay.
you know that reminds me. That reminds me of. I'm sure you heard this in the news like several years ago of like the big swarm of locusts that like swarmed Las Vegas.
Yes.
You saw the
Yeah.
footage of that. That was so bad. Like I can't imagine like being a tourist there at that time. It's like you go out of you just won at your at the casino. You earn some money. You're celebrating your win, and you get out in the strip and you see like all these dead
Locusts everywhere.
locusts and then more of them flying. Like oh god, like
You know, there's that. Well, I don't know how
You
prevalent.
better hope
it
you're not a
is,
firstborn son.
There's a story. One of the reasons why Utah was not settled by many people originally was that it was said that the climate and the ground was infertile. It would not produce any kind of plants or animals because it's not usable. Um,
why they call it Deseret.
exactly. But when the Mormons first started settling there and started growing crops, at one point they had no water, and that was a problem. Was getting water. And then they had a locust problem. Locusts descended and started eating all the crops. And the answer to the locust problem, and nobody has understood how this happened, okay, but it is actually historically accurate that seagulls came in and started eating the locusts. Now, if you think about where Utah is, where the hell did the seagulls come from?
Yeah, where did they ship them en masse from California? It's like okay,
It's like
hey,
California wasn't that populated at that time.
okay, then they probably got it from like Maryland. Like where did these, where did these? They followed the Pony Express. And it's like okay,
Don't
we'll
know.
put all these seagulls in this pony and then ride them off in the sunset and the Oregon Trail till they reach you. Like
Yeah, I don't know how they got there. Nobody seems to be able to explain how they got there. But so somehow seagulls ended up in Utah eating the locusts that were eating the crops, and therefore the crops were saved. Don't ask me. I don't know. God works in mysterious ways. That's all I can say.
it's probably what the Mormons taught too.
Yeah.
Uh, and also, isn't
Doggy
that where the
size
Salt
place.
Lake is?
Yes, Salt Lake is there.
Yeah, so
Maybe they were.
I guess
I don't know. I don't.
I don't know. Like that seems like probably need to look more into that. I'm sure there's probably an answer. It's just that that's very interesting.
What is your go-to movie candy or snack?
Candy or snack? I've never been a big fan of popcorn. Mainly because of the kernels that get in my teeth, and which cause like gingivitis issues, which I'm still kind of struggling with to this day. So suffice to say, like popcorn for the most part is like something I don't really eat. But what I do eat usually is usually chips or French fries. Like sometimes I get a hot dog. As for candy, this is really just more like candy that I just like eating in general. Twix is my favorite candy bar.
Oh,
Like
cool.
I love Twix. There's something about like the hard like cookie bar in it, plus the
Yeah.
caramel and the chocolate. Like I just love that.
Yeah, I had
Uh,
trouble eating those.
Reese's is also good. Also love Reese's cups.
Cool. Okay, what the fuck's asking for a specific question? So, you've died. Who do you want to read your eulogy?
Who do I want?
Anybody,
Does it have to be some
living
dead or alive?
living or dead,
Living.
fiction or fact?
Oh, fact or fiction? You said?
Yeah, could be anybody.
Oh. Reading my eulogy. That is an.
I don't know
That's
why
an
What the
incredibly.
Fuck loves this question. He asks for it almost all the time.
Oh, so he's always on like telling people to write the eulogy.
Yeah, he wants
Oh God,
Gil-
it's kind of
Gabriel
difficult.
Iglesias or Guilford Godfrey.
Gilbert Gottfried. Rest in peace. Joey, yeah, Gilbert Gottfried is dead. Like, yeah. Like, sorry, that was a terrible.
So
God, I'm legit stumped on this question.
oh wow.
Yeah, like, because it's something I've never really thought of. Like, maybe it's because I'm like 24. Like, I'm death is
So far away.
like, no, it seems so far away. Hopefully it remains that way. But I honestly can't give you an answer. Gilbert Gottfried's ghost then.
Well, he is dead.
True.
Actually, for me,
There are a couple names that I can think of that I think are really cool people that would be cool to have an eulogy read by. Robin Williams
oh yeah.
and Anthony Bourdain.
Oh.
Yeah, mainly because I remember like binge watching a lot of like I love Anthony Bourdain shows of like him traveling around the places and eating. It was part of like it was like one of my mini autistic interests in like in like international food and travel, and Anthony Bourdain just happened to be within that. So it kind of sucks that he passed away.
Yeah.
But it would be cool if he gave a eulogy of me. That would be incredibly cool.
Yeah.
Seemed like a nice guy.
Mine are James Earl Jones and Vincent Price. Yeah, Vincent could just stand there and talk. He doesn't have to. He just stand there. I love both their voices. They've got wonderful voices, and Vincent just has a way of phrasing things that it's like, man, I want to be able to
Yeah.
phrase things like that when I'm talking.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I think your voice kind of cut up
It's probably
during
my
that.
fault.
Yeah. So I couldn't quite hear what you said.
Yeah, my two are James Earl Jones and Vincent Price,
James Earl Oh, okay.
and mainly because they've got two of the most distinct, beautiful voices. Um, and I've kind of always had a crush on Vincent Price. He was way too old for me when I was born, so it's
That's that's one way to express your interest
just
in the eulogy reading. I want my crush to read my eulogy.
well, and Vincent Price, he always had that way of phrasing things, even if he was reading from a script. He phrased things in such a way. It wasn't. It's not Shatnerized. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
But it's Vincent Price. I mean, it's the way he talked. And I noticed, because I've been seeing a lot of interviews because of the things that have been going on this past year. Um, I've noticed that Johnny Depp has an interesting phrasing pattern as well. Um,
When he talks.
yes,
Hmm.
he's very um, introspective, and he's very careful about how he puts his words, which I I find that wonderful.
That's
Morgan
very
Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
Okay. Yeah, Morgan
Smooth
Freeman.
velvet voice.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, so you're like mixing it together. I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, he's Morgan
And
Freeman
Vincent
with
Price's.
Vincent Price's smooth velvet voice and speech pattern of Price. Yeah, yeah. But Vincent can go from any genre. I mean, he went from romance to horror. You know, he, he just spanned the whole genres of stories, and it wasn't the same. Every video, every movie, every time you heard him talk, it wasn't the same. And you watch interviews with him, they're different. You know, you get more of his normal. You get more of his normal speech pattern there. But he brought a lot of that speech pattern into his acting. So, yeah. Sorry.
Yep.
Tangent.
Yeah. No, that's all right. Having a good voice gets you a long way.
Yeah.
I would imagine during the industry back then, and I mean, I would say like these days here in the internet, voice acting is like a burgeoning industry where you have a lot of indie VAs out there, either doing lines for horror readings like what you guys in the community do,
Yeah.
or general like dubs of comics, stuff like that. A lot of like these VAs are like incredibly talented,
Yeah.
and they often don't get recognized because they're not like mainstream VAs, or they're not VAs from like prominent shows or anime or whatever.
Exactly.
But I think it's very valuable that a lot of those talents do get recognized. Um,
Yes.
I'm fairly new to the VA thing myself because I just did my first stint at voicing lines and actually having them published in a game not too long ago.
Oh, cool.
There's this new mod in uh made for SCP Containment Breach, of course. It's called SCP Deception,
Oh, cool.
and it basically features a character there that is voiced by me, and I had to I remember just sitting there trying to record the voice lines, like trying to get it right. I'm still honestly like very subconscious about what I sound like, uh, in terms of like what the recording sounds like through my ears, because oftentimes it sounds a bit different than how you initially think you sound.
Yes.
I'm sure I'm sure that makes sense, but it's It's something that needs to be worked on if I want to do more of these things, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I have to ask you Jelly Bean's question, even
Yes.
though she's not here. You are completely alone in your house. There are no animals. All the doors are locked. All the windows are locked. There's no one else there except you and you. That's it. You hear
Okay.
you hear a fart.
hmm
How do
Are
you react?
How do you react?
Uh, um, w- can you repeat the first part? I think you cut up
You're all
there.
alone in your house.
Okay, there you go.
There's nobody else
Along in
there.
your house. Nobody else there. Um, and then it's just me and
It's just you.
me.
It's just you.
It's just you and that random
Oh,
fart that came from nowhere.
And you know it's
a
not you.
fart?
Yes, a fart.
It's
You
Jelly Bean.
randomly, you're home alone and you just hear this random nowhere.
It's
How do
Jelly
you
Bean.
react?
That sounds like a premise for like a cliche horror story until the okay. It's like what? Okay, so I mean, to be honest, like my first thought would be, oh my god, did I fart? Holy shit. Um, but then once I confirm that it's not me, I'd be like, it's probably some cupboard that sounded like a fart or something. No big deal. Um,
It's a
and
ghost
then
fart. It's fine.
I'll go check it out, and I don't see anything. Um, and then I'll be starting thinking to myself, wait, why the fuck am I here alone? I don't remember being here. Um, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. And so I leave.
I was
And then,
clearly, I was clearly abducted by some guy who has a random fart kink. I'm out.
oh god, oh god, it's gonna be like, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna be like tied up, and then I'm gonna be like, oh, where am I? It's like, hi, I always wanted to fart in your presence. Like, okay, good job.
The part that evicted
Wow.
tenant.
I can't wait to tell this to the fucking cops.
It's like 30 Shades of Grey except the fart edition. 30 Shades of Gas.
30 shades of two.
Okay. I don't have to remember what Elvira sounds like. I know what Elvira sounds like. I know what she looks like too. Cassandra is a beautiful woman still.
Nothing is as sweet as a child's laughter unless you're alone at a grave. Oh! Talk about grave matters right there. Holy shit.
We've had
3
that. We've had that question go everywhere from I get my gun and start going through the house to Jelly Bean's answer herself. I start laughing.
That's
By the way,
probably fairly reasonable.
Jelly Bean is a grown ass adult who just still finds immense joy in fart humor.
She does. But then again, she's married to Ray Bingaman. You know?
I would imagine it's like, oh, wait, do their conversations like just stem from like a punchline toward a fart joke like every conversation? Like,
Well, Ray has got this habit in his writings that he has a bucket. And somewhere this bucket shows up in his writings. It's like,
oh, you gotta love those gags.
it's like PA has done several of his stories, and he actually asked him that question. He said, "Why is there a bucket in every one of your stories?"
Well, it was only in that series, but like he also has a thing where he puts like he it's always raining in his stories for some fucking reason.
Oh yeah, raining. It's
Of
always
course.
raining. It's always he's
But,
he's from England, so what do you expect?
But there's a story. This story I did of his, and there's just for some reason he made a point to say that there's this bucket in the hallway, and I'm like, okay, random detail. But in the second part of the story, the bucket was still there, and and the third
The bucket.
and in the third part of the story, the bucket was still there, except this time it tripped the security guard as he was running for his life, and I'm like,
And the bucket was still there. Oh, say then the bucket list man. Right, sorry.
if I ever get around to it, like if I ever find the motivation, I'm so writing a prequel to his series called Bob the Bucket, and it's gonna be about a security guard who used to work there and then got killed, and now he possesses the bucket, and anybody who tries to take his job, like the bucket just inevitably is the cause of their death.
You know, that sounds like an SCP. That legit sounds like a bucket that like kills. That literally sounds like. Is there an SCP bucket? I'm gonna look this up right
I
now.
don't think there is, but I think PA just created it.
I think if not, me and you need to get together and work on creating the protocol for Bob the Bucket.
Oh my! The bucket Easter egg. Oh no! Yeah, it was an Easter egg in his stories. Yeah, and it's the bucket. Bucket and rain. It's always raining, and there's the bucket. And amazing what the fuck said that his answer is back off, you spooky bitch.
Oh my God, there is.
There is.
SCP-020-J. So this is a joke SCP.
Yeah.
It is description. SCP-20-J is a dark blue plastic mop bucket. It is if a subject perceives the object, they would be compelled to approach SCP-20-J and kick it. Upon striking the object, the subject will cease all further life functions and instantly expire via anomalous means.
So you're literally kicking the bucket.
They literally kick the bucket.
Through 20J's response to the force it is struck with appropriately, it doesn't exhibit signs of damage. It was discovered outside Site 30's 5th janitor closet alongside the corpses of Janitor Worf, 5 site guards, D-1221, and Dr. Cimmerian. As the corpses were initially believed to be the results of a containment breach, additional site guards were deployed to the area. 15 of the deployed guards were observed to self-terminate via 20J through security cameras. Because they all started kicking it. Oh my god. 18 D-class personnel, 18 of them, were dispatched in the area in an attempt to secure the object, resulting in the self-termination of all involved subjects. Lead researcher J then instructed the remaining D-class personnel to kick SCP-20J down the hallway and towards the corner, then cover it. Following self-termination of 12 additional D-class personnel, 20J was successfully contained.
Poor D-class personnel. They are so expendable.
Jesus.
I mean...
And because it's being streamed in public, it is made by Uncle Nicolini of the wiki. That is so funny. That is
quite hilarious.
Oh my god.
SCP.org. Is it org or
yeah.
com? It's org, right?
Here, let me open it again.
Got a...
It's scp-wiki.wiki.com.
Okay. I don't think that's where I usually go, but I think they link to that. But Jammer, is the bucket still there in containment?
I mean, that's what it says. There hasn't been any update since.
I guess so.
I'm just sitting here aimlessly scrolling Facebook, and I come across this picture and it says, "News that matters. A pelican befriends a stray dog who was often spotted all along the boat docks. The man who photographed this picture has adopted him, but brings him back every day to see his friend, Petey the Pelican."
Oh.
Aww.
That's sweet. Okay, so, is there anything you want to ask us?
Yeah, I guess given that I've gotten to know you guys throughout this conversation, kind of want to know what do you guys do outside the podcast? I presume you guys are involved in a larger community, doing, especially with PA Nightmares describing his narrations. What do you guys do um, as your contributions?
I'll let PA go first.
I honestly just tell spooky stories. But when I find someone new in the community that I like that I see is like, you know, if they need some guidance, I'll help them out with tips and tricks, and uh or I'll just put them in a bunch of group chats and introduce them to a bunch of people. That way,
We drag them into
if
here.
they have any questions, they have the resources. They have the resources at hand for you know, answering set question.
And we let
So I
them know
generally just help the newbies out whenever I find them early enough to actually help them out. Usually CCG beats me to the punch.
Yeah. CCG's always beating
Yeah.
everybody to the punch. I've beat her twice. In 4 years, I've beat her twice.
And assuming she beats you the other times.
Another billion times.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
And how about you, Mia?
I have a channel. Actually, I have 3 channels.
3 channels. Wow.
One of them I'm going to be on after this. It's a gaming channel, basically. It's called Mina Plays. And I will be doing, we are celebrating our 6th year at the Maintenance Fancy in Black Desert Online. Not really horror related, although considering you're talking about Black Desert Online, which has got a black entity that is taking over people and making them corrupted, it kind of could be horror if you think about it.
I mean, corruption sounds like a horror motif right there.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's actually a beautiful game, although it's open world PvP, and you can't really opt out of the PvP if you don't want to PvP. So I'm an RPer first. I'm not really a PvPer. And I would rather, you know, I like the story in the game. I'll make my own story for my characters, but I really, if I'm going somewhere, I don't really like getting ganked on the road. You know? I had one person knock me off my wagon and starts hitting me, and I turned around and start throwing spells. It was on my witch, throwing spells at them, and their health is going dunk 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 dunk. They run out where I can't reach them, and I get back on my wagon, and I'm getting ready, and they yell, "Hey, aren't you gonna chase me?" No, not interested. You're not that interesting to me. But you're not that interesting to me. Bye.
Damn.
So yeah, and so I'll be on there tonight. It is a restricted because we do have people in Black Desert who don't know how to control their text messages to other people in general chat. It's like, we're in a game. Why are you talking about politics? We're in a game. Why are you calling people see you next Tuesdays? You know, you don't know these people. How do you know what
Jesus.
you know? So yeah, so I restrict the Black Desert streams because of the possibility. It may not happen during the stream, but if it does, I want to have that protection there.
Speaking of games, I
Yeah.
used to play Destiny 2 with a bunch of my friends, and I made it a point to just, because there was no friendly fire in the game, so I made it a point to find new and creative ways to kill them.
On my main channel, Mina, I do horror narrations. I do narrations from people in the community, other authors in the community. I do narrations of my own work, which aren't always horror, but generally do have a horror component or some kind of component in there like that. And I'm going to be doing, when I get finished doing the biography I'm working on for the Brothers Grimm, I'm going to be doing some of the Brothers Grimm's fairy tales, the original.
Ooh, I love the fairy tale. I love fairy tales. It's very nice.
I'm going to be doing those. I'm also bringing in Hans Christian Andersen.
Ooh,
I've
yeah.
got
Oh, that's
Edgar Allan Poe. I've got Charles Dickens on the line. I'm not looking at my list, so I'm missing things. And I'm also going to be doing, because this just came up in the last 6 months in my head, I want to do this. Historical documents or historical writings, and like the Federalist Papers.
ooh,
And
that's interesting.
governmental documents like the Magna Carta, the Constitution, the 14 Articles of Association, which I'm pretty sure nobody knows what that is, but that's where our U.S. independence started, was the 14 Articles of Association. So
Is that the establishment of the Articles of Confederation?
that is before the establishment of the Articles of Confederation. This
Ah,
happened
okay.
right after the Tea Parties, which weren't just in Boston,
Mm-hmm.
and it they needed to know how they were going to deal with each other. If they weren't going to be dealing with the British, how were they going to trade within each other? How were they going to communicate and pass information between each other and pass commerce between each other? What was going to be allowed? Could somebody from Virginia send supplies to Boston through this passageway, and would it be able to be come to this port, and because it wouldn't be blockade from where this port is blockaded from the British, you know? So they wanted that kind of thing, and it's the basis of how the states have interstate commerce. And it really set that up right there within the 13 colonies before we even had the United States. So it is the first group of agreements between the 13 colonies that actually led to, that this is the first Continental Congress. When we had the second Continental Congress, that's when we had the Declaration of Independence. That's what led to the establishment of the Constitution. And, all these things come out of others. It's all got to start somewhere, So, yeah, I'm working on that as well. And I'm trying to get...
Yeah, that is very interesting. I'm very much interested in the Hans Christian Andersen stuff because oh my god, like as I mentioned earlier, like I was a big member of the Frozen community for like a long time, and that's obviously based off of the Hans Christian Andersen tale,
Snow Witch.
the Snow Queen. The Snow Queen is very dark,
Yes, it is.
a lot more dark than what Frozen turned out to be. And it's a fascinating, yeah, and it's a fascinating read.
It is.
The Little Mermaid's also very dark. Like,
The
oh my
Little
god.
Mermaid, and I grew up before Disney's Little Mermaid, so I was reading Hans Christian Andersen's Little Mermaid and the animations that were done. Even at that time, they were childrenified, where they had a semi-happy ending. The Little Mermaid's ending is not happy. It's not happy.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It had a lot to do with what was going on in his personal life, and
Yeah, a lot of his stories were personal.
Yeah,
Allusions to his personal.
Could not express publicly.
Yep.
He got away with doing it through his writing, and I think a lot of writers are like that. I know, it lets me experience things a different way, when I'm writing,
I've never,
able.
I've never been angry and savagely murdered the target of my anger in any of my stories ever for any reason. Not at all.
I will tell you, when
I
I was
mean,
going through
I
my
mean, let's be.
divorce and writing my first book, my ex-husband was one of my dead characters repeatedly because I killed him several times. Never made it to the final draft, but I killed him several times.
Jesus. Well, uh, I would imagine that the idea of a self-insert, like, I guess you would call this a self-insert of some sorts, like that's been around since like ancient times. Like you can even read like ancient Greek novels,
Yes.
that have some form of self-insert that the author put in there, for, just an excuse to like put out their ideas.
Yes.
Um, and it's as prevalent today as it was back then, certainly.
Yes.
And you said that you were also doing historical readings, such as the articles, such as the Federalist Papers and all that.
Yes.
That reminds me of this video that I watched. It's a voiceover a of an excerpt of a book by the Greek historian or the Byzantine historian Procopius.
Oh wow.
It's called The Secret History, and it's essentially like a it's basically the early medieval equivalent of like slander and horror tales aimed at the emperor of the Byzantine Empire at the time, Justinian. And there was the one section of it where he basically calls the emperor Justinian a demon, and at times he roams around the palace with no head. Like he doesn't have a head, and he's just walking around with no head. And the head at one point reappears, but there's no face on the head. It's just pure skin.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
You're going into like
yeah.
some of the not Lewis Carroll, um, Frank Baum, uh, Wizard of Oz type of motif. I don't know if you've read that. There's one story about there's a queen or a princess where she actually changes her head daily by the mood, and she might change it hourly by her mood, and she wants Dorothy's head. And Dorothy's like, my head doesn't come off. Why doesn't your head come off? Your head should come off. And they have this whole thing about that. It is really cool. That's another set of books that I want to go through on my channel.
Absolutely. I linked the video of the voiceover at Traveler's Tavern if you want to take a look at it. It's very interesting because it's like you'd think that this sounds like a horror story that someone wrote recently, but it's actually like written 1500 years ago. It's insane. Like it was written essentially as political slander, but it ends up turning into like this horror trip.
Well,
It's kind of
Gulliver's Travels
interesting.
was political satire. And it was
Makes
aimed
sense.
at the royals and the House of Lords and the House of Commons. Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland, was also a satire on the political system. Um,
Yeah, I read something about that. Yeah.
there's this
Oh,
my favorite piece by Jonathan Swift is not Gulliver's Travels. It's a piece. Basically, I want to do it, but I can't do it on YouTube because it talks about the eating of certain young humanoids, and
Instead of it being long pig, it's the veal of the human world.
yeah, the veal of the human world, and I might be able to do it on my locals channel, because you're allowed to get away with a little bit more there than even on Patreon. So I might put that there as a locals exclusive or something like that. I don't know. I don't have any exclusives over there.
You know, me. I need to get back to the basics of my writing because um, Jammer doesn't know, but I used to incorporate a lot of mythology into
Yes.
my writing, and
Matter of fact, the
I
story
haven't
I'm writing right now is based on a lot of mythology.
I haven't wrote a good mythological horror story in a while. Need to get back to my basics.
Yeah,
I,
mythological. Yeah,
I,
a lot of like weird like horror stories, especially in the ancient world, were rooted in like mythology and religion, and they were essentially designed to like demonize the others
Yeah.
religion in order to like gain converts. So that's what happened, especially with Christianity started spreading. So
Mm-hmm.
you had, as the result of Christianity starting spreading, you had pagans at the time um, writing essays about how the Christians like eat like baby flesh and
Yeah.
drink blood and all that.
And then on the
Uh,
other side, you got the Christians saying the
yeah,
Druids are eating people.
yeah, and
they're
all this right
bathing in the blood
today.
of children.
You're like it would be kind of funny if someone did like voiceovers for that. That would be kind of funny to.
Hey, Sleeping Wendigo, you came right at the end. Um,
Hey, what's up, Wendigo?
so
What's up?
uh, we're gonna wrap this up here because we've actually gone longer than we normally do. We do that so much. Um, we
It was
are,
a fun convo.
yeah, it was fun, and I would love to have you back. Excuse you, PA.
Yeah, I have
Of course, feel free to
indigestion.
reach out.
I was
People fed me
talking.
people fed me pizza now, and I can't find my Tums.
Oh, okay.
Just eat a bunch of cockroaches, should be fun.
No, go get
Yeah.
some peppermints. Um, we are hosted on the Nevermore Collective, which was put together by Raven, as the Raven Dreams, to host just about anything. If there's something that you want to try but your channel doesn't quite fit with it, or you just don't think that it would work with your channel, but it will work with itself, so to speak, you can join us. And we have 2 interview shows: the Tavern, Grave Matters. We have I wish Monsters and Myths would come back. We've got some gaming going on. We've got a couple of just fun channels, or fun podcasts, not channels. They could each be channels, you know. um, and narrators that come over here and play games or to talk about cryptids or other things, just so that it doesn't really fit their channel, but it would fit over here because we do just about everything. And you can find Raven as the Raven Dreams, Midnight Researcher, Midnight Bard, PA, Sleeping Wendigo, 242, me, Filia, CCG. I don't know why I had problems with her name.
Creepy clown girl.
It's just like I can see it and I can't even pronounce it. What's the problem?
It's the alliteration. You gotta.
Yeah. But there's a lot of people who can help you with that, and we can set you up if you're not able to stream it yourself. We have people who can help you with that even. If you just want to do standard videos and put them on here, we're up for that as well. You can do a video and it doesn't seem to fit your channel, but you can put it up here. Yeah, Sleeping Wendigo is my partner in the Dr. Creepin holiday special this year, and I think we had fun with that story. Somebody was complaining about the puppy noises, and they're like, why? And I was like, if you listen to the story, the puppy is whining and growling and barking and scratching, and those noises are there now, duh. I didn't do it overly because I only had it when it was referenced in the story. But yeah, we had fun with that story. It was Jordan Group, who is a horror author. So yeah, he did actually, did he or she, I don't know which Jordan is actually, wrote a bunch of the stories that were done this year. But Dr. Creepin did stories, Madam Raven, Muse, like me, Sleeping Wendigo. I can't think of everybody's name because we've got so many. But what it is, we're a group that we're trying to draw people in, narrators that will do these type of collabs where one year the men get to pick a number and they end up with somebody on the other side that's a female, and then vice versa the next year. So it's a lot of fun. You don't know who you're going to end up with. But Dr. Creepin puts it all together on his channel and hosts it. And if you don't know who Dr. Creepin is, what rock are you under? Yeah, Dr. Creepin is a big, one of the OG horror narrators, and he's absolutely amazing. He's got a voice like velvet, and he's got the English accent to go with it. And yeah. So, the bucket is still, yes, the bucket is still there.
Yep, it's contained. Don't worry.
Thank you, Sleeping Wendigo. So, having that all said, remember, once you join the collective, you can leave nevermore.
Nevermore.
Wow.